Good afternoon. Here we are approaching the end of January. We've got, I say, maybe a month and a half of potential threats of freezes to go. But you know what? Fortunately, this year has been very, very mild. I mean, this winter has been very mild. That is, I recounted, we had maybe 2 or 3 incidences with any time where it goes below freezing, which is great. I mean, in the past, most of my tropicals would really show severe signs of frost damage, but luckily not this year. So this year, many of the tropicals are getting a good break. That's not to say there's not going to have any damage. This is a great example. I mean, this guy does this every year. Plumeria, one of the more sensitive tropical trees. I mean, this year, due to the mild winter, I mean, it's still holding on to some of its foliage. But even though this is winter, the beauty of growing tropical fruit trees in the Central Valley is the fact that if you look at the neighbor's trees there, they're still all deciduous. I mean, the leaves are all fallen. They haven't woken up yet. But the beauty of growing tropical fruit trees is the fact that these guys don't care that it's winter. They will continue to set fruit, hold on to the fruit, and flower in the middle of winter. So even though this is winter, and let's actually collect some fruits, as well as I wanted to talk about the 6 major obstacles that you want to consider when trying to grow these in the Central Valley. Okay, so these 6 major obstacles are, in my opinion, the big ones. So as I harvest fruit, I'll just kind of discuss what those obstacles are. So the first obstacle, which is the most obvious one, is gonna be the frost, the cold. So when it comes to cold, you are gonna want to rely on the creation of a microclimate, including the heavy mulching. As you could see, when I prune my ice cream bean here, the Inga here, look at this. Nothing is wasted. So the creation of a microclimate, including mulching the heck out of your yard, is gonna be one of the best ways of keeping these guys alive. So that, and also of course, so mulching, turning off your water or eliminating your water or lowering your water and instead relying on the rain in the winter months is another way to combat frost issues. Of course, I mean, you can also, if need to, in a pinch, cover your sensitive tropicals using breathable frost fabrics and frost bags. So yeah, look at this. Winter. So these Inga ice cream bean trees are native to the Amazon rainforest, right around the Brazil area. And they grow here without any difficulties. Growing, fruiting, thriving. I'm not seeing any damage at all this year with the Inga. So yeah, the first couple of years, of course, I mean, your tropicals may get some setback here and there, but after they've are established, they're fine. I mean, look, I even pruned this guy recently just because I know that he's fairly mature now, so he's not gonna have any issues with the winter. This is ultimately your goal when it comes to the tropicals. So concerning frost damage, this is a kind of I guess this is a good example of a microclimate. Mango, okay? The younger mango here, as you can see, the foliage, practically no frost damage at all, including the new growth. As you can see, it's trying to, well, there's some damage there, I suppose, but it's not so bad. And that is, before I pruned the Inga here, it was mostly under the protection of the Inga. Next to its buddy here, where if you come closer, massive difference. Look at this. Yeah, no microclimate. This is what's expected. I mean, this is to be expected if you are growing these without any protection. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I mean, this is frost damage. And again, all it takes is maybe 1 or 2 frosts, and this is what's going to happen. Now, notice there is a pattern that occurs. The damage, no new leaves only, okay? The old leaves, they're fine. So it's really only the new leaves that are susceptible to frost damage just because they've not matured yet. The leaves themselves are not mature yet, which is one of the big reasons why you do not want to fertilize them or give water to them. Instead, the water situation should just be your tree should have enough water to make it through winter based on the raining season that we get in Central Valley, which is again winter time. So yeah, I mean, if you encourage these guys to grow by watering them regularly as well as feeding them regularly, the new growth, this is what's going to happen. Okay, so yeah, there are again just the winter preparation techniques. You've got to almost be religious about taking care of your trees right before winter. So let's go up there. So on the topic of microclimate, another big obstacle is going to be the soil. In the Central Valley, I don't know about your situation, but for the most part, for most of us, you're gonna get the nastiest clay soil, which is very high in pH. You're talking 8 or so. The sad thing is, tropical fruit trees prefer a pH of usually between 6 and maybe 7 at the most. Some are a bit more tolerant than others, but for the most part, yeah, you are gonna want to try to get the pH down. And one of the best ways to lower your pH is through the application of organic material such as wood chip, which is why you see so many wood chip in my yard. Through the application of wood chip, therefore, it also attracts the primary decomposers, the bugs, the insects, as well as, of course, the worms. The worm will live in the wood chip, well, in the ground underneath the wood chip, and as they thrive in the wood chip, they will naturally dig tunnels here and there, loosening up your clay dirt and making it a bit more breathable for the tropical fruit trees. which need a lot of oxygen. I mean, one of the things that people don't think about is making sure that there's sufficient oxygen in their dirt. So yeah, that, and also of course, I mean, composting, the application of uh, compost that you've made yourself, okay? The store-bought compost, I wouldn't count those as being compost just because there's practically nothing living in those, bags of wood chip. That's essentially what they are. I mean, I wouldn't say they're compost, but what I'm referring to when it says compost is food scraps that you would put in your compost bin, and in turn um, allow microorganisms to feast on them and multiply, and you're essentially then taking all that microorganism and then putting it in your ground. It's a lot like you eating yogurt or kimchi or anything that's got probiotics. I mean, you're not really doing it for the nutritional values, but instead you're either replenishing or you're adding to your system beneficial bacteria. Whoops. And throughout the process of adding wood chip and other organic material in your ground, it will also slowly help to acidify your soil, which is why when you look at this, like, okay, check it out, okay? When you look at the ground, all the food scraps, I mean, this is all the stuff that's all the store foods that dropped. I mean, I used to leave them there and let the insects, the worms do their job to consume it and recycle the foods back into the ground, and the nutrient then gets reabsorbed by the trees. It's nature is great at recycling. The other obstacles. This is arguably more important than winter. A lot of people focus on winter, but in the Central Valley and similar climate, the summer months are maybe a bit too brutal for some of the tropical fruit trees. Personally, I've lost way more trees in the summer season than to frost. That's how brutal it is. The problem with our summer is the sun is just way too intense, which then takes me to another obstacle, which is the lack of humidity. You've got to keep in mind, okay, humidity is very much preferred by just about all tropical fruit trees. These fruit trees originate from a climate where it is practically tropical, as in there's a lot of humidity. Well, guess what? The Central Valley, you'd be lucky if you get maybe 30% humidity, let's just say. And these tropicals, they prefer, oh, I don't know, somewhere in the vicinity of I say 70 to 80. See if I can just pull this one down. So humidity and summer. Yeah, summer, just like winter, you're gonna wanna create a microclimate, such as what you're seeing here. The big old tree that you see up there, that's my mature ice cream bean tree, providing protection to just about everything you see down here, including the stuff that you can't see from that side, but including everything that you see underneath its protection. Yet without the Inga there acting as basically a big umbrella providing filtered shade, a lot of my tropicals, they're not going to be able to handle the Central Valley sun. So the other thing, of course, is The other obstacle is, if you follow me, is gonna be the wind. Now, luckily for us, we don't get a whole lot of wind, but when we do, oh boy, we get a lot of wind. So for that, you're gonna want to, again, this this unfortunately all boils down to the umbrella term of microclimate. You're gonna wanna create a wind barrier of some sort. In my case, if you look at this big old clump of bamboo there, old Ham's bamboo, it is providing wind protection for basically everything that's um, east of it. That's west. For the most part, we get westward wind that just from the west goes to the east. So the bamboo there, just because it's so tall, serves as a nice windbreaker, protecting basically everything that you see here. Of course, the fence helps quite a bit as well. So the wind, the last obstacle, which most individuals unfortunately don't think about, but we get them here, and that would be the lack of pollinators. Yeah, bees can only do so much. You're gonna want the correct type of pollinator. You're gonna want to have the, or try to attract the right type of pollinators in your yard. We're talking, for the most part, when it comes to tropical fruit trees, it's actually not the bees that's doing the pollination. It's more so the flies. Better put this on the ground. Let me show you. All right, Keo Savoy mango, still under this minimal frost protection. Look at this. Middle of winter, okay? See these? These are formations of flower bracts, which specific to this tree, I will be removing. I do not want this guy to flower and therefore get the flowers pollinated by flies. Flies, for the most part, do the heavy pollination when it comes to tropical fruit trees. So you're gonna want to do your best to attract pollinators. Specific to flies, food scraps works the best. Just throw some food scraps here and there near the base of the tree, and flies will come and swarm at them. And in doing so, hopefully they get a chance to pollinate your flowers for you. That goes for longans as well. Bees, yeah, they help, but I mean, for the most part, it is simply flies that do the work. So now, there are some tropical fruit trees, mostly the anonas, that we do not have any pollinators, nor do we have any humidity. In this case, Etamoya, you're gonna have to hand pollinate. I mean, there's just really no way of going around it. Yeah, I mean, if you come here, the last hanging fruit, okay, check it out. It's a small little guy, but hey, you know what? I feel like I've deserved this because at one point I hand pollinated this flower maybe a year ago. Yeah. So when it comes to the anonas, we're talking etamoyas, cherry apples, sour saps, cherimoyas. Yeah, unfortunately, you just have to hand pollinate. So that's really the big 6 obstacles that you have to be considerate about if you want your tropical fruit trees to thrive in the Central Valley. I mean, yeah, Subel sapote, loaded with flowers that you could see, and fruits on the ground, well, on the tree. Same with loquats. because you know you can't have enough loquats. Look at that. This cluster of fruits generally ripen in end of May. One of the earlier tropicals that ripen their fruits. So very impressed with this guy. So yeah, so just in summary, frost protection, soil amendments, including pH, summer protection, wind protection, uh, and just lack of pollinators. So yeah, if you can find a way to combat all of that, your tropicals are not going to have any difficulties growing here in the Central Valley. So, all right, have a good afternoon.